Welcome on into the barber shop. We got some breaking news. Anthony Walker is back into the fold with the Cleveland Browns. And I must admit, G. Bush always admits when he's wrong. We needed this move. I'll come back and explain why this is such a big move for the Cleveland Browns. But first, let's hear from our great sponsors at Mint Mobile. This barbershop video is sponsored by Mint Mobile. Guys, you know I talk about baseball, basketball, football, and every sport in between. But what if I told you guys, just by switching your cell phone carriers, you could possibly take your family out to see a really nice baseball game on a nice summer night? Sports is about living. It's the experience that counts. And I'm going to tell you what, the experience that I've had with Mint Mobile, it's the same phone, the same great quality, and you can keep your number and all of your contacts. That's why I'm so excited about talking about Mint Mobile. You might already know Mint Mobile from those Ryan Reynolds commercials, but let me quickly tell you how awesome their service is. Mint Mobile offers a premium wireless service for as low as $15 a month, and you do not have to sacrifice any coverage, speed, or data. They are built on the nation's largest 5G network and keep costs low because they sell direct to you online. They cut out the retail stores and the salespeople. Switching to Mint Mobile is also super easy. That's due to their digital eSIM cards. You can sign up and activate immediately right on your phone from the comfort of your home. You can keep your current device and phone number and easily switch services. It's the same service that you can find at all of your other cell phone carriers. All Mint Mobile plans include unlimited nationwide talk and text, plus lightning fast 5G and free mobile hotspot. And today, as subscribers and listeners of the barbershop, we're gonna get you started off on the right foot as well. Use my link in the description to get premium wireless starting at $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Garrett Bush. You don't get extra credit points for paying for exorbitant cell phone bills every single month. Be able to spend time with the family and spend that money where it counts. Again, use my link in the description to get premium wireless service starting at $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Garrett Bush. Switch today, start saving money without sacrificing quality. Now, one of the reasons why I believe sports talk is important, and the reason I love sports talk, is because we all have opinions and we all have different things and different ways that we believe that we can build a roster, the way we should go about building a roster, the way we should go about valuing certain positions. And for the Cleveland Browns, there's been a couple of positions that's always been kind of, I think, undervalued, and that's the position of linebacker and wide receiver at this point. Those are the two main storylines that I look at that the Browns have been able to kind of fix after they've tucked away and did a nice job working on special teams. And at the same time, they did a really good job of stocking defensive tackles. So at the linebacker position, I'm not going to lie. About a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about linebackers, and I tweeted something out. I kind of tweeted that Anthony Walker was just a guy. He's just a guy, and that the Browns need to upgrade that position. Now, when I said that comment, I do stand by certain things. I do think Anthony Walker, he's not what I would call an all-pro, but he does hold a certain respect level in the locker room. And also, he was a captain, and he was a guy that was performing very well in the 80s as far as Pro Football Focus is concerned before he got hurt, only played 3 games. There are some injury issues with Anthony Walker, and there are some durability issues, right? Those things can't be ignored. But I'm going to tell you something right now. I always preach this. I always preach that if you get new information, you should be man enough, you should be a professional enough to come out and say, yo, I was wrong on that one. Nobody is making me just jump out here in the roof and say, do a blog because Anthony Walker is back. Nah, I had to come out and do a blog because sometimes in life, you don't know what you got to is gone, bro. And that's happened a lot of times in your life, right? You know, you may feel like, I could upgrade over here, or I could go do that. And a lot of people might be moving and try to make certain moves in life because they feel it's an upgrade and they feel like they're going for it. Now, I'm an aggressive guy. That's just what I do. I'm an aggressive person when it comes to how I want to build my football team, about how I want to go after it, right? But with that being said, when I started to look around the league and I started to see some of the names that was available, I started to be like, man, that dude ain't that good, right? Started looking at it a little bit. I started to go back and watch a little bit more film on some of these available guys. And I'm like, man, he all right. Like, he ain't really, a lot of these guys that was really available, even Tremaine Edmonds and some of these other guys, right? They just they wasn't blowing my socks off, right? And so when I started to look at it, I started to analyze and look at what my words were. I'm like, man, for what he do, we could get that from Anthony Walker. So that hit me right there. For what that cat is doing, we could get Anthony Walker here. He already familiar with the people. He familiar with the coaching staff. And Jim Schwartz might be able to coach him up and put him in a position to make more plays because, I was critical of Joe Woods. So for me, I started already to think about that, right? I started to already think about the play on the field. And then when they said he was going to take a visit to Washington, I really started tripping. I was like, man, if he goes out there with Jacoby Brissett, man, we out here holding a bag. We out here holding a bag of goods right now. Just all of the different things that a linebacker does as far as getting people lined up, as far as being on the field, directing traffic, making adjustments, making sure young people is in the right position, making sure that the call came in correctly. If you guys are doing check to certain formations, he needs to diagnose what the formation is. He needs to also look at the personnel groupings to decide what he wants to do. He needs to talk about the strength of the offense. What is the strength? Are you going to call the strength of the formation to the field, to the boundary, to a certain player on certain hash marks? All of these things go into making sure that you can fit on defense. And I know it. I had to go back to my thought process. How many times have you played with a very competent linebacker who was a ball player, and when they called the defense out, you knew you was in the right thing. You knew that if you were in your gap and you were up there taking up two, that he was going to make the tackle, or at least be in the area to put himself in a position to make a play. So as I started to think and analyze this, I'm like, man, I had already came up in my mind that Anthony Walker was already going to be back. He was already there. And sometimes in real life, you don't value the people that already's been there, right? You don't really truly value the person until they think that they're going to other places, right? How many times have you been in relationships where you had a great girl, you had a awesome relationship, she was good to you, she cooked food, like she was awesome around your family members. She's great. She's one of them girls that looks beautiful in just sweatpants. She can hang out with the guys. She watches football. She makes you laugh. But you young, you just like, oh, well, everything looked good to you at that time. And then you go out and you club and you meet the girls, you flirt a little bit. And then at the end of the night, it's 2:00 and you looking around and you're like, man, was all that worth it? Was all that worth it, bro? I had that where I had here. And so for me, I always tell people, if you get new information, don't be a sucker. If you get new information, it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to raise your hand. I got some new information. You know what? I'm going to stick right here. At the end of the day, you look like a fool if you double down on something. And right now, I'm looking around at the linebacker crew. I still need guys to get JOK together. Phillips is coming off injury. Heck, Taki they brought back came off injury. My thing is, if we can get him back healthy, I know what he can bring to the table mentally. So I'm looking at it from a physical part of, let's come back on here and do it and see if we can do something with Schwartz. And now it's looking a little better because I know Anthony Walker had to look at the defensive line and say, oh, it's night and day from what I was behind before, right? It ain't going to be a bunch of young dudes up there. It's going to be some guys they brought in to make a play. See, and another thing I try to do is I try to pride myself on going out, talking to people who close to the situation to figure out if I'm off base or if I'm close to something. So one of the people that I've been preaching for since the preseason started, since the offseason started, rather, is Bobby Wagner. We all know what Bobby Wagner is. Bobby Wagner is a special linebacker. I think he has a chance to make the Hall of Fame. I think he's still playing at a high level. But when you look at Bobby Wagner, he was in Seattle a long time, came in back and went and just played a year with the Rams, in which he graded out as the best middle linebacker in the game. So he still has something left. But I wanted to do something. Instead of coming around and just, shooting off at the mouth and talking and just throwing names out there, I said, listen, man, I haven't heard nothing about Bobby Wagner. Haven't heard many teams mentioning his name. Haven't heard him talking or his agent. And he hasn't even been really linked to any other teams. So I was on, as you know, one of my co-hosts, Tyvis Powell, who played for the Legion of Boom in Seattle, played for the San Francisco 49ers, had a cup of coffee here in Cleveland. He is really plugged in with some of those guys, Cam Chancellor, Earl Little, Richard Sherman. Them is his guys, man. And I pulled him out, said off the record, you know what I'm saying, just between me and you. And I'm not going to get into the too many specifics of what he said because, this was just, I was just asking him off the cuff. And so we started to talk about Bobby Wagner. And he like, and the outcome of the conversation was, without being too specific, he knows a little bit about his situation or the way he thinks about certain things. And he just said, no, I would be very surprised if that's where he was thinking about going at this point in his career. And he gave me a plethora of reasons to say I might have him on a podcast too. I'm gonna get him on here because he know a lot of dudes in the league. He know the agents. He know a lot of people. So for me, I'm gonna just pick his brain and say he's like, but he can still play. But I think there's some other places that he's more interested in. So, when you get new information like that, I'm not about to be up here sitting here pounding the concrete for Bobby Wagner, and I know people that know him that's in his camp. Now, could anything happen? Sure. Could a person have no interest in coming here? Sure. But then turn around and do it because of the money? Deshaun Watson was one of those people, right? At first, it was nah, I'm cool. Then the bag got put on the table. Not saying the only reason he came was the bag, but in Bobby Wagner's case, could there be a chance that the Browns offer him give him an offer he can't refuse? Sure, but for me, I just from the information that I got, I don't think that's viable. I don't think it's viable. So when I have a conversation with Tyvis and it ain't viable, and I'm looking at the other list of linebackers that would be a possible replacement for Anthony Walker, I'm like, under no circumstances am I cool with that. Nah. I'm not. No, we need him to get him back in the fold. And so, shout out to him, man. I think it was he kind of threw a shot at me. He was like, I'm gonna try to find what he said, but he basically said, nobody cares, keep working, #Jag. So you can probably find that on Twitter or whatever. Now, I don't know if anybody else called him a Jag. I can't take credit for it. I mean, but I did call him a Jag. So when I put that out there, somebody said, yeah, that was a sneak diss, G Bush. He was replying to you when you said, because I tweeted, I said, look, man, I was tripping. Thank you for coming on back here. Welcome back, Anthony Walker. See, man, look, difference between me and a lot of the other guys, y'all say what y'all want to, man. Man, I'm real about mine. Like, I don't got no problem saying I was wrong on the situation or I rethought the situation, man. I was tripping. I was bugging. What are you talking about? I'm like, man, let's start looking at this paperwork. I'm like, this is all y'all got left? Him? Nah, give me Anthony Walker back, dog. So it ain't no big, hey, listen, I always try to tell people, look, if you get some new info, people might laugh and joke, oh, look at you walking your comments back. Look, you're walking it back. Listen, it ain't even walking it back. I was backpedaling. I was turning and sprinting. I was in my defensive stance, turning and running. What you talking about? I was moonsliding better than Jermaine Jackson, filling in for Michael Jackson when he got his hair caught on fire. Are you serious? I was moonwalking my tail off. What are you talking about? Don't call me the Duke and knee jerk for no reason. Hey, I go both ways, pause. Look, I could be critical, but if the Browns come out tomorrow and say they got Jerry Jeudy, claps. If the Browns come off and say they got Odell Beckham Jr., claps. If they say they got McCullough Hartman, claps. Because guess what? The end goal is to get better and win a championship. So I don't care about how they get it done. Yeah, they might have took a little longer than I wanted them to, but as long as they get what they got to get, we ready to go. And with that being said, we'll end that here with Anthony Walker. Shout out to Anthony Walker. We're glad to have you back in the fold. We're glad to have you calling back the defenses. And right now, in totality, barring injury, if I like the fact that they brought Taki and Anthony Walker back, I need JOK to be working on his game and start running around blocks. But of course, you got Jim Schwartz, who I believe will coach a lot of these guys up. I think you'll see JOK be better. I think Phillips will be better. And I do think that a guy like Perrion Winfrey will be better. They've done a good job of getting rid of the people who, like, they was like, coaching can't help this. Get them up out of here. So they've done a good job in doing that. So with that being said, I do like what they're doing on defense, but that has nothing to do with my receiver. I'm still asking for one, and we need to get that done. As a matter of fact, check out the next blog. We're going to talk a little receiver. We're going to talk about what the Cleveland Browns really need to be doing at receiver. And guess what? It ain't even going to cost you that much. We'll come back and talk about it. It's G. Bush here in the barbershop. Please hit the subscribe button, the like button, hit that notification so you know where to find me every single day on the Locked On Browns podcast, Saturdays 8 to 12 on 92.3 The Fan. Download the Odyssey app, and every single day on YouTube, you can watch me on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Don't miss it. Subscribe at all places. And as always, you know what it is. You never know when I'm going to pop up. You just got to listen to the Clippers. Peace.